Season 4, Episode 10, Payment Overdue, about a greedy, callous debt collector by the name of Mara Swanson. There's only 2 actors in this episode, and like our previous episode, Sorry Right Number, she spends a lot of time on the phone. So it starts with Mara making phone calls to all these poor people to remember them to pay their debts, and if they don't pay their debts, she's going to send the law after them. She's going to sue them. She's going to get that money one way or the other. So while she's legally in the right, this episode is setting her up as a person who really doesn't care at all about these people that are really struggling. You can even see the expression on her face. She's heard this a million times, and they're like, please, my kids need food. She's like, you still owe us $500, bye. Mara Swanson's played by Jeanette Simpson, who has exactly 4 acting credits. In fact, after this episode, released in 1988, she didn't act again until 2020. But she does a fine enough job. See the trend in these episodes where the 80s really like portraying these tall, slender, but a bit masculine women as the corporate boss or the tough insurance salesman. We've seen this character before. So don't be expecting any action in this episode until right at the very end. They're chewing up the time with these constant phone calls, and after a couple minutes you're like, okay, I get it, she's a debt collector and she's mean to the people. Move on. And then, just like the previous episode, Sorry Right Number, she gets a mysterious phone call. That sounds like a woman that she recognizes, a voice from beyond the grave, telling her,
yes,
it's so lonely and cold here to make my payment.
she gets visited by Rita's attorney, Mike Nelson, great name, who reminds her about this client that she once had, Rita Valdez. This poor woman that, after getting a phone call from Mara, ended up committing suicide by jumping out of her window. And he's trying to make Mara feel bad about this. She doesn't feel too bad at this point. The message in here is clear. It's a commentary on payday loans and loan sharks in general. It's like being a tow truck driver that goes into apartment buildings and tows people's cars late at night. Luckily that hasn't happened to me, but man, I've seen it. And if you live in an apartment, they will tow your car, and they always come late at night. They come at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and they specifically target people that are parked in handicapped parking spots or parked over the line, but they seem to focus on handicapped parking spots, just an FYI. So, a necessary job, but not exactly one that a lot of people would want to do. And you would feel pretty bad if you towed someone's car just because they were parked a little bit over the line, and they're begging for you not to tow it, but you're going to do it anyways and make those sweet bucks. So it's a fine message, but the delivery is not very good. And they could have done this a lot earlier. They spent so much time in this episode of her on phone calls with other debts that don't play into the actual story. And we get no costume changes. We learn that Mike Nelson is Rita's guardian angel. And he's come to punish Mara, but he doesn't turn into a devil. There's no violence. There's a slight change of scenery as Mara goes from her nice apartment and she starts losing her things. He takes away her nice bed, takes away her nice tables. Her view is now overlooking just a brick wall. But he's supposed to be a guardian angel, and we see nothing to indicate that, except for that he tells us that he's the guardian angel, and things start disappearing from this apartment. And then we get a scene that I can't even describe, so I'll show it.
killed for a subway token in this town. Well, could you check on it, please?
What happened? I no understand. But Jeanette, I no talk like this and not Spanish. Somebody help!
But man, this is dated and corny. It's trying to show that Mara doesn't care about other people, especially poor people, and doesn't understand, in this case, how immigrants live. But man, is it done in a haphazard, ham-fisted way that would get you cancelled today, since not only does her belongings start disappearing from this guardian angel, so now she's in this poor apartment, so she now knows how Rita Valdez used to live. She then turns into Rita Valdez, complete with sloppy looking clothes, and even more comically, I don't know what this is, a Hispanic accent, I guess? What is going on here? I understand the message, but man, this is done poorly. I was just laughing as her speech goes from normal to just this ridiculous interpretation. So I don't like Payment Overdue very much. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. The only somewhat cool part is when things start disappearing from her apartment, as this guardian angel takes away her belongings and makes her poor, so that she can know how the poor actually live. But man, this was lazily done. No costumes, no action, and this accent at the end. Oh my goodness. Embarrassing. Also, I think they could have just had her change into a person who was poor. I don't know why they had her actually change literally into this character, Rita Valdez. And it's obviously the accent of someone faking a poor Hispanic accent. It's not actually a Hispanic person themselves. What is going on here? Because she gets phone calls from the voice of Rita Valdez. That sounds ridiculous. And then she ends up imitating the voice of Rita Valdez. That also sounds ridiculous. I mean, people have accents. Why not just hire someone who actually has that accent? Oh my god. So, Payment Overdue is quite bad. Mike Nelson is played by Louis Arlette, who's really known more for his writing. Wrote 38 episodes of General Hospital and 31 episodes of Another World. If you wanted to be a writer in the 90s, just go to the soap operas. They always need writers. They release so much content. We'll read a positive and a negative review. We'll start with the negative one. I'm in a negative mood. 3 out of 10. No budget, no interest. Another no budget, no interest story from the show. For 90% of the running time, this episode consists of a woman sitting on the telephone in an office. He noticed that as well. A single actor in single location usually results in extreme boredom, unless the caliber of the writing is really strong. But you have to be a fool to look for strong writing in a show of this type. Yeah, and you get the point after the first minute. She's a debt collector. You don't have to show me 1,000 phone calls of her being a debt collector. Main character is a ruthless debt collector who spends her days harassing people for money. That's the depth of the characterization here. Pretty soon, she's being haunted over the phone, thanks to her own overzealous nature, and it's not very scary either. Twilight Zone had some episodes like that, like Night Call, that were actually scary. But there are no scares here, no surprises, just long, drawn-out conversations which do nothing and nothing. It's a real bore. This guy sounds like me. 7 out of 10. This episode really sets up Jeanette at the beginning, though, as someone to really despise. She's shown at work, calling all kinds of people, including a little girl. She scares by telling her mommy must pay, or else. And a college student, with loans! This woman has reached her spot because people are just dollar signs and stairs to gradually climb over to achieve success. So her fate is warranted, and there's clearly no doubt Jeanette has some bad mojo visited upon her. I think the way Michael listens to her offering her insight on those she victimizes, the lowly and the poor, and how he takes her up on a comment regarding the ability to rise up, unlike them from the bottom, and emerge victorious, won't surprise. Well, next up is Episode 10, Love Hungry, about vegetables that come to life and start singing and talking like VeggieTales. It's at least entertaining. Check out our playlist for all episodes of Tales from the Darkside. We're almost done the series. We finished Monsters and Fear Itself. We covered every episode there. We're doing Black Mirror, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Pet Shop of Horrors, and Cowboy Bebop. Thanks a lot.